Welcome to footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Emory Hunt, the czar of the playbook, bringing you my 2011 NFL mock draft. This is version 2, so we're just going to jump right into this list and see who I have the Carolina Panthers going with the #1 overall pick. And I think it's going to be A.J. Green, a tall wide receiver out of Georgia. Very thin, but he's a big playmaker, catches everything with his hands, and is an awesome route runner. Should prove to be well alongside Steve Smith. Now, I have the Broncos taking Patrick Peterson, a guy that's a big and physical corner, excellent ball skills, outstanding return ability. Reminds me a lot of Champ Bailey, but you look at that, should be a great insurance policy should Champ Bailey decide to hang him up or leave the Mile High City. Cam Newton is a guy I think the Buffalo Bills should draft. Explosive playmaker, very accurate, strong arm, smart quarterback, and is a true winner, and that should help out former #1 pick C.J. Spiller find a lot of running room. Now, his teammate Nick Fairley is a guy that has a classic 3 technique, physical, quick off the football, lives in the backfield, causes a lot of disruption, and should cause the same type of disruption in the NFL for opposing offensive linemen. Now, you look at Robert Quinn. I love this guy a lot. Classic defensive end / outside linebacker combo. One thing that's important, long arms, great closing speed, very, very explosive, and he is a supreme athlete. Should cause a lot of problems in that NFC West division. Now, you look at Justin Blackman. Here's a guy that's a physical, great burst to the football, closing to the football when catching it. A physical guy, a guy that catches everything with his hands and has great body control. Prince Amukamara is a guy that's a very stout cornerback against the run. One thing is important is his body positioning is really, really excellent. Great ball skills, excellent tackler. Reminds me a lot of Sean Springs. Now, Marcel Darius is a guy that's going to help out the defensive ends a lot in Tennessee. He's a guy that lives in the backfield. Strength and quickness is his forte. Should prove to be huge for that Tennessee Titans defense. Now, you look at Cameron Jordan. He's a classic 5-tech defensive end. He collapses the pocket real well. His quickness off the ball is great. This is a guy that should live in the opponent's backfield. He abused Nate Solder in this game and caused a lot of problems for that Buffalo offense. Now, Blaine Gabbert is a guy that has a strong arm, quick release, solid mobility. His only question mark is his footwork, but he can throw well on the mark and on the run. And I think Mike Shanahan will be the guy to get his footwork in order, but Gabbert is a guy that can make all the throws and everything you possess in the starting quarterback. Now, Alan Bailey is a classic guy. He can play a 5-tech in the 3-4 or 7-tech in the 4-3. Good footwork is the key to his success. This guy had great closing speed. One thing that I have a question is his consistency. If he can play all the time, he's a great playmaker. Robert Mallett is a guy that's fearless, has a missile arm. His footwork is a little sloppy, but as you can see right here, when he's well protected, the guy has a gun and he can make all the throws and adequately mobile, but not as accurate thrown on a run. That's his only weakness. Now, you look at Daquan Bowers. Here's a guy that's very smart for defensive end, has Big Daddy Lipscomb-like pursuit when getting to the quarterback and to the ball carrier. He looks unblockable at times. Imagine him alongside Ndamukong Suh's scary defensive front for the Detroit Lions. Now, Julio Jones is a guy, his health and consistency is a question, but he's a very solid playmaker, impressive footwork for a guy his size. He's 6'4", 222, and that's what the Rams need for the young quarterback, Sam Bradford, a guy that's a consistent #1. Now, Mark Ingram is a guy that's a very shifty running back. It reminds me of a bigger version of Ahmad Bradshaw. He blocks real well. He's an excellent pass catcher, a guy that's a true solid all-around back. And if the Dolphins lose one of those talented tailbacks in Ricky Williams or Ronnie Brown, Ingram should be a perfect fit. Now, you look at Raheem Moore right here, free safety, 2 words, ball hawk, and that's what the Jacksonville Jaguars need in the secondary. He's a very instinctive player, which is why he had 10 interceptions as a sophomore, and teams threw away from him this season. Now, you look at Cameron Hayward, a very talented defensive end, stout against the run, but one thing that's his weakness, he needs to find ways to get to the quarterback. No pass rush moves and not as agile as you would like, but against the run, classic defensive end. Now, Von Miller is a guy that's explosive. He needs to develop a counter move, but his closing speed to the quarterback is off the charts. This guy is unblockable. Imagine him playing in San Diego, getting back to the quarterback. This guy can cause a lot of problems and will do so in the NFL. Now, you look at Greg Jones. Here's a guy that improved a lot in coverage this year. He's the master of stuffing run lanes and getting good run fits, and the Giants need that from their middle linebacker, and Greg Jones is a guy that's going to play for at least 10 to 15 years in Big Blue. Now, Ryan Kerrigan is a guy that has a non-stop hustle, outstanding versus the run. He uses his hands real well, which is why he gets to the quarterback as many times as he does, and he's very, very solid against the run. Now, Drake Nevis is the quintessential 3 technique. He's 6'1", 292, a myriad of pass rush moves, and he's very quick. Lives in the backfield, should cause instant disruption for opposing defenses, and Seattle needs that help in the interior of their defensive line. Now you look at Justin Houston right here, outside linebacker, attacks the line of scrimmage real well, plays behind the line of scrimmage a lot, 18 TFLs, very athletic. You see right here, he could drop back in coverage, a guy that's always around the football. Now, Kendall Hunter is one of my favorite players. I think he's the best running back in the draft. Excellent vision, explosive. His suddenness is amazing. Reminds me a lot of Thurman Thomas. Very, very exceptional in the run game, and he can carry the load as a back. Now, Nate Solder is a guy that's a former tight end. His best football is in front of him. He's very light on his feet. He struggled in this game against Cal, but he is an outstanding football player, and he fits the Colts system very well. Now, Derek Sherrod is a guy that has excellent footwork, very solid in the run game, and a very smart offensive lineman. Should prove to be huge for the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, J.J. Watt is a guy that I really like a lot. He can play in the 3-4 defense. Imagine him line up in that 5 technique, getting pressure on the quarterback, because he's going to get at least 5 or 6 sacks a year. Very smart, and his strength is his forte. Look at him beat this guy right here at the point of attack and get to Terrell Pryor. Very tough quarterback to get down. Now, Jonathan Baldwin is a guy that's a big play threat, 6'5", 230, good body control, instant matchup problem. Imagine him playing opposite Roddy White. Now the Falcons can attack the entire field and make them impossible to beat with that run game. Now, Ben Adelon is a guy from Villanova, impressive left tackle prospect, good footwork, strength at the point of attack. He's very quick and agile, and this guy can play at the next level. Did an excellent job against Temple, blocking the blind side, keeping guys off. Look at his good footwork. Get his hands placement as well. Outstanding prospect. Now, Gabe Karimi is a big prospect as a left tackle. Excels in the run game. Very solid player, and he's good enough against pass rushers. He dominated Cameron Haywood in that ball game. Now, you look at Adrian Claiborne. He's a guy that has excellent leverage, uses his hands real well, and locates the football well too, and he's very explosive. As look at this, get off the blocks, skate down line of scrimmage, and tackle the opposite quarterback. Brandon Harris is a guy that uses his body real well, sound tackler, excellent blitzer, and has excellent size, 5'11", 195, and has great leaping ability. So he's going to be in on a lot of plays, a perfect fit for the Baltimore Ravens. Now, the New Orleans Saints need outside linebacker help. Akeem Ayers is a guy. His read and recognition skills is off the charts. He can make tackles one-on-one. He can put his hand on the ground and in certain situations get after the quarterback as a DN, and has so much versatility, and that's what they need in that linebacking core. Rodney Hudson is a guy that I have going in the second round to the Oakland Raiders, who don't have a first-round pick. Excellent hand placement, tremendous athlete, great footwork, but he needs to get a little bit bigger. He's 6'2", 284, needs to add a little bit bulk. Check out our NFL draft analyst Chris James mock draft at footballgameplan.com/draft, or you can just check out our YouTube channel to check out more of our draft videos at youtube.com/footballgameplan.